The next section of the dungeon is the canyon up north, and once the players come searching this place, they're gonna discover that it's only about 10 feet wide, and it's filled with boulders and rubble and clutter and the dead bodies of those iron armor-clad alien humanoids, which makes this whole canyon difficult terrain, so movement is halved for the entire duration of this canyon. Once players go far enough to the midsection, it's going to tighten up quite a bit to the point where the midsection is so tight a medium creature is going to have to squeeze through one at a time and climb over the stack of boulders blocking the way. Once everyone is over the boulders and the last person is left to climb over them, unless they're making it a point to point out that they're paying attention to their surroundings and maybe making a perception check, the ground is going to break underneath their feet, much like falling through ice on a lake in winter. The ground is going to break and they are going to fall into an underground lake that's it's not like long ways below the surface or the crust of the earth. It's just like they're gonna go armpits deep into the soil. This lake is filled with a kind of translucent, syrupy, very thick substance that at first seems to be harmless in all other ways other than its thickness. It's going to take a DC 20 athletics check to get out of this, and that's something that should motivate other players to give a help action so that the player would be rolling with advantage. And for every failed athletics check to get out of this hole, the player is going to suffer 1d6 acid damage from the seemingly harmless, but it turns out it's quite acidic goo underneath the crust. But once they get up, as long as somebody has like prestidigitation on hand, or if they simply put effort into wiping all the excess goo off of them, there's not going to be any more acidic damage dealt. But if they don't, they're still going to suffer the acidic damage while on land if they're still filled with a thick layer of said goo. Once they get over the stack of boulders and further into the canyon, they're going to get into a widening section, which is still difficult terrain, but where they have more space to move. And it's going to become apparent that this crash site is the crash site of some sort of a ship. It's a completely black, very Viking long ship looking kind of vessel, which has somehow crashed into this place and smashed into smithereens and littered the place with corpses. If the players search the thing, the vessel would give them some rope, it would give them an iron anchor, it would give them, like, let's say 5 grappling hooks made of the similar kind of design and iron workmanship as the weapons of the aliens. And besides that, there's also going to be a pedestal, and around it are shards of broken crystal, about 100 gold pieces worth of crystal shards, but they are clearly something having to do with steering a ship, with something having to do with magic and crystals. There's also going to be a body that's kind of different from the rest. It's going to be a body where the wearer is not so much wearing armor, but more just cloaks, black cloaks, and he's wearing also a kind of gear belt that seems to be filled with goodies. The gear belt has 2 flasks of holy water on it and 2 pouches, each containing 100 gold pieces worth of small diamonds. And he also has a scroll for revivify. The final thing he has to give is his mask. He's wearing a kind of a cowl with a face mask that looks like a visor. It's like a completely blank champagne gold colored kind of visor that reminds you of something like a kendo mask or something like that, except it's completely flat and there's no eye holes or anything on it, and it covers your shoulders and the upper chest and the like, and has a hood like a cowl on it. And this is a magic item called the Navigator's Helm. And if you attune to it, it gives you a 120 feet true sight, and also grants you the ability to cast Augury once a day for no cost. Now, while rummaging through all this rubble and all these treasures, a demon is going to be attracted to the player's location. It's going to be a giant, a kind of a huge ball of flesh that has tentacles all around it, and each tentacle, instead of having suction cups, it's going to have big fangs, like big talon-looking kind of tusks and the like protruding out of its tentacles. And in the middle of the ball is going to be a very human row of teeth looking to chomp anything it can bring to its mouth with its tentacles. And this creature is going to be using the stats of a Girallon from Volo's Guide to Monsters, except of course it's going to be a fiend as its type. And if the players come here later on in the game, when they are on higher levels, then I would imagine that they would have reached second level by the time they entered Molor. You can always add more of Girallons here. They are basically kind of like ogres, except that they have like 5 attacks. So they're very much like about swiping and about like conquering that action economy. So yeah, once those creatures are killed, there's nothing more to find in here. So it's back to the original crossroads.